Tom Menino is a fighter. Tom Menino was a fighter. Tom Menino went down fighting. And we all know where Boston stood in his heart, number one. I'd like to ask any questions.
What were the most important lessons you learned from him?
Being in the neighborhoods, trying to follow his lead now as mayor. You know, even as a young state representative, and I think I can speak to for every councilor up here and state rep and state senator and cabinet, he always talked about the people and making sure he delivered the services. It wasn't about policy necessarily, even though there was a lot of policy there. It wasn't about headlines. It was about making sure the people always come first.
Mr. Mayor, you know, everyone here has a story, has a Tom Menino story of how he touched us personally. What's a story that you would tell with a buddy, with your partner? What's the intimate story of Tom Menino?
Well, let me tell you one story. That one of the first times I met Tom Menino, and there's been a lot of report over the last couple of weeks about when he would speak and he'd make fun of himself. And he was running for Congress. Brian Donnelly had been elevated to ambassador of Trinidad and Tobago by President Clinton. And he was running for Congress, and part of Congress was in his Dorchester was part of the district. So I went to his house too, and I didn't know him. I knew who he was, but I didn't know him. And I went to his house, and I was amazed by how much of a student of politics he was. And he had VCR tapes about Harry Truman, but he also had VCR tapes about giving speeches. And he worked at it every single day. And you think about that, and there's been a lot reported over the last couple of days that his dedication just wasn't in the years he was mayor. His dedication clearly wasn't just when he was city councilor. His dedication was from his whole childhood. And there was a report on one of the stations that probably sparked the flame inside of him when he went to a John F. Kennedy speech. And he chased the limo down the street, and that probably got the flame going. And I think a lot of us can relate to issues like that, but just over the years, what Tom Menino has done. One thing I will say, when I was a brand new state representative, I had the habit of getting in trouble with the mayor a lot. He would come out with a policy, and I would, you know, I wouldn't get much press those days, so I would, you know, talk to a reporter, and then he would see it, and I would get the phone call from him, which I can't repeat here today. And then later on, he'd put his arm around me and say, just slow down and listen once in a while. So a little tutelage he gave me.
Is there, you know, we've read a lot about
Hold on a second. Sorry.
We've all read a lot about some of the tensions that supposedly existed between the two of you. You know, thinking back on that now.
Yeah, I mean, it's not tensions, it's political differences. You know, it's when I was, you know, as I said, a young state representative, you know, I would say what I feel. And he was a long time serving member of the city council and then the mayor of the city of Boston. And I think that I don't view them as tensions. In politics, we have disagreements, and we go on to the next issue the next day. During the mayor's race, there was a lot of talk about tensions. That tension is, today is about memories and fond memories and good memories, and tensions last for a day. He gave me a B the other day, though. No, you know, he wouldn't say it publicly, but privately he would offer support. You know, whether it was the casino issue, I talked to him about that many times, transportation issues, development issues in the city of Boston, working with the city council, I would talk to him. You know, so I'd ask him different advice on different things. So there was plenty of issues where I've had the chance. We were able to. He'd give me advice and talk about. He never spoke publicly about it because he felt that, you know, he was the mayor for a certain period of time and let me be the mayor. And certainly if I made decisions or something that he was concerned about, he would have called me.
I never saw him happier than he was at Christmas time on his trolley, you know, playing Santa. What do you think he meant to the future of kids in the city?
Oh, I think last year he asked me to join him on the trolley tour, and I had the chance to go on many different stops with him. And every time we'd get off the trolley or there'd be kids there, he'd talk about they're the future. And I think what kids meant to him and why he did a lot what he did was about their future, making sure that he leaves a good city here. And I think when I talk about his work and his legacy will be left for generations to come, he laid the foundation for a lot of young people that he touched their lives and that are moving on. Even in City Hall, many of the neighborhood coordinators or people in different areas that are around me right now, he met them in high school. They went to work. He gave them a chance. They started to work in City Hall. Some of them went up to become department heads. Some of them went up to become cabinet members. Some graduated and ran for office. He touched a lot of people around me's life here today, and they started when he met them when they were little. Yeah, we had a good conversation. I was in his office. He called me election night to congratulate me, and the next day he said, "Why don't you come on over and talk?" And you know, we had a meeting. The first few minutes of it, I was all new to this. He brought in the cameras for you guys to do the shoot around the room, and then everyone left, and he just basically talked about, you know, being mayor and taking it a step at a time. I understand there's going to be big decisions and big challenges that I'm going to have to make as mayor of the city of Boston. He mentioned at that point keeping people first. You know, make sure I put smart, good people around me. So he gave me the advice that I would give the next person, and I think that anyone would give the next person coming in to make sure that, you know, to move the city forward.
Did he give you any advice on the media?
On the media? I can't talk about it right now.
Did you talk to people before you decided to run for mayor?
I actually had a conversation. Actually, this is one of the intimate moments that no one knows about. Senator Jack Hart had stepped down from the state Senate, and I was contemplating running for the Senate. And I said, "I'd like to meet you." And at that point, he was sick, and he was over at the Parkman House. And I met him at the Parkman House, and I told him, "Mr. Mayor, I'm kind of torn. I'm thinking, do I run for state senator? Do I hold off?" And I said, ultimately, and I'm not running against you, but ultimately, I would love to be mayor of the city of Boston. And we had a conversation about that, and he looked at me and he said to me, "In order to be mayor of Boston, you don't have to be a state senator. You have to be a good servant." He says, "I don't necessarily think that that's the pathway you need to become mayor of the city of Boston." And I left there and I got the answer there, and I wasn't sure. I was torn on whether or not to run. And some of my colleagues were waiting for an answer from me. And ultimately, is the conversation I had with Mayor Menino. At that point, he was running for re-election. But when he made that statement to me, I took that personal. And, you know, he didn't have to give me that advice. And he did. And we talked about what's the difference between what I'm doing now and how would it change my ability to become mayor of the city of Boston. So he did give me some advice on that. That's the intimate no one knows about.
What was it about that conversation?
Not yet.
Do you think we'll ever have another mayor that served that long?
Say it again?
Do you think we'll ever have another mayor that served that long?
I don't know. I think it's 20 years is a long time for any public office, but in particular, mayor of the city of Boston or any type of position like mayor. It's hard to say you'll never have one down the road. We might. I mean, we might not. I think that the issue is, can we have a mayor that serves 20 years that had to run like his, where it was scandal-free, through difficult times, was able to pull the city through very difficult times. Even when in times where we hit recession points, Boston was still moving along. And I think that the fact is, are we going to have somebody that's going to be able to lead during times up and down and consistently lead with a steady hand?
Mayor's office said that Mayor Menino had a same understanding of each ward and the streets in the city, precincts. Have you ever looked at that?
Oh yeah, I mean that happened a lot. You know, I was talking about that today. In 2005, in the city council race, John Conley was running for city council, and we were campaigning, doing the race, and you know, John called me in the middle of the day, and he said, "I just ran into the mayor, and the mayor said that we're going to do very well today." And he said, we have people in every poll, and there's people out there all over the place. And, you know, we were running in that campaign saying, you know, where are we? And the mayor was right. John came in third place that day. I don't think anyone, there's not many people, I'll tell you, in Massachusetts, I don't think anyone will disagree with me on that understands where the votes are and how to get them out and how to shift the vote over. Not in his own election, but other elections. You know, he had a way of calling these races, being able to see not just messaging, but really where the votes are. And he was, you know, he doesn't get enough credit for that. That's really one of the things in politics that he should have gotten more credit for.
Last month, guys.
Most proud of? I think the fact that he met over half the people of Boston and shook their hand, personally touched them. I think that that's what he's most proud of. I think the fact that, you know, not only was he mayor of the city of Boston, and I think any of us as elected officials serving in elective office is a great honor. we pass legislation and we pass laws and we push for certain programs, and those are all great honors. But I think one of Tom Menino's greatest feats was the fact that he was able to literally touch so many people of the city that he loves so much. And I think that that's probably one of the things he would say.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Boston Mayor Marty Walsh, a lot of familiar faces there. Michael Flaherty, right?